Paul, I think the emphasis, of course, will be on, as you mentioned, base running, and then, of course, you were a dynamite hitter, played at a very high level for so many years in both Milwaukee and Minnesota, an illustrious career. But there are things you can probably offer to these young pitchers as well in terms of your ability to scout and things like that. Isn't that right?
Well, one thing that I know Gardy is an approval of, as a staff, we can help each other. We all have our areas, but to overlap is probably a good thing, because how a hitter views pitching and pitchers view hitting, there's always areas you can help out. But a lot of the game is the physical things that we do, but there's also the mental side. And whether it's preparation for a pitcher, a game plan, hitter's approach, handling failure, there's a lot of ways that you can address trying to help from one area to the next.
One of the best things about baseball is the game really hasn't changed all that much. But things do change, Paul, as I'm sure you could tell me, after 20-plus years in the major leagues.
Well, there's been some changes in the game. Obviously, we talked about a little earlier this morning at another stop, the way the statistics are viewed. They have all the new sabermetrics and, the WAR stats and different things for pitchers, the way they evaluate who's really providing, the most for your club. But the other area of change, obviously, is terms of pitching, the keeping track of innings pitched and pitch counts and all those things. The specialization of the bullpen has definitely changed over the past 20 years.
Dick, you've been a part of 2 world championship teams with the Minnesota Twins and seen the highs, and you know that before those championships can come around, there are some tough times with a ball club. And I can mention, when the young players came up in 82, Guy Eddie Herbeck, players like that was sort of the precursor to the 87 championship, and then going from worst to first from 1990 to 1991. So you know that the team's got it in them to be able to put this together, and maybe just missing a couple of pieces here or there.
Well, and I think we've seen even since 1991, every year it seems like there's a team, at least one in each league, that gets off to a good start, finds that spark, and rides it out through the course of the whole season. Now, the 91 Twins were a really good example of that from last place in 1990. If you make the right signings, and if they come through as they did, and there were 4 guys the Twins signed after the 1990 season, and they all clicked. Jack Morris, Chili Davis, Mike Pagliarulo, Steve Bedrosian, they all were key contributors to what turned out to be a championship ball club. If you get things going in the right direction, everybody plays better, and the results can be rather dramatic. We saw it with Cleveland last year, Kansas City, Baltimore's done it in the last couple of years, and we like to think that it's about our turn to get off to a good start and turn this thing around.
Well, there's certainly been a winning tradition with this ball club, the Minnesota Twins, for so many years, competing at least, if not winning, that division title and making it into the playoffs. I suppose the next step after that would be to, if you do indeed get the Yankees again, to actually beat the Yankees this time. I know it's got to be a frustrating thing to always seem to run into that buzzsaw.
Well, whoever faces the Yankees from here forward is going to face a different team than the team that knocked the Twins out. That's going to have a different look, that whole Yankee organization, for a while.
One thing my dad taught me growing up, and he's the one that got me into baseball, and I'm a longtime Twins fan, grew up in the Twin Cities, is that you have a loyalty to your team, but you also make sure and follow along with players from your hometown. And, Paul, that is where you fit in. That is where Joe Mauer fits in. And no matter where you end up playing, you follow those players. And because of that, I think the Milwaukee Brewers were always my second favorite team.
Well, I appreciate that. We don't have a ton of guys that have come out of the Twin Cities and made an impact. I think we take a little pride in the fact that Jack Morris and Dave Winfield and myself kind of grew up competing against each other through our youth days and high school days. And with a little bit of luck for Jack, all 3 would have ended up in Cooperstown, which is pretty amazing for a northern city like St. Paul. But, I was gone for a long time when I went to Milwaukee, but I had a lot of people up in Minnesota that followed that, and it was always much appreciated by myself.
Brian Duensing is a regional guy, and being here in Des Moines, just down the road in Omaha, Nebraska. You went to school in Lincoln. You were a Husker, and some of your teammates, I think Jabba Chamberlain was your teammate at Nebraska?
Yep, I played with Jabba and Alex Gordon.
Alex Gordon as well, that's right. And you were also an Olympian, were you not?
Yes, I played in the Olympics in 2008 in Beijing, and we bronzed in that. I feel like we might have underachieved a little bit there, but still a great experience to represent your country.
So you went the college route followed by the major league route. Ryan, you were kind of the opposite of that, were you not? Where they drafted you and you decided on that rather than going to college?
Correct. I mean, I signed to Texas Tech University, and then I've decided just to go the way with the Red Sox in the 11th round. So I didn't go to college.
Well, you look good in the Twins colors, I'll tell you that much.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for your time. It's really an honor to have all four of you in the studio with me as, like I said, a longtime fan of what you do. And Dick, certainly that includes you as a professional broadcaster, sir.
Well, I appreciate that. You got to remind everybody that spring training's right around the corner, and here we are, approaching the middle of January, and the baseball season for the Twins starts at the end of March, so it's coming fast.
Some very exciting things to look forward to. Great to have you back on the staff, Paul. Thank you for your time
Thanks
as well.
for having us. Appreciate it.
And the Minnesota Twins Caravan continues. I'm not sure what exactly the number is, but it's several thousands of miles all across Twins territory, and we're lucky enough to have them here in Des Moines, Iowa.